Hello and welcome to the WIHS Journal, Public Affairs from 104.9 FM. I'm Paul Kretschmer. In light of the recent violence across the country, we have the views of a prominent African-American church leader on today and tomorrow's WIHS Journal broadcast. He is Bishop Harry Jackson.
Yes, I am a leader of a network of churches called the Ambassadors of Hope Fellowship. And we have about 7,000 churches worldwide, and we're missions-oriented, worship-driven, and we're evangelical in doctrine.
Could you tell me why you decided to write a book at this time, which is coming out in just a few days, and initially at least what the motivation for you doing that, what were you observing that you felt ought to be responded to?
Well, over the last 15 years plus, I have been working at trying to bring the church together from a moral perspective and go together, flow together, and make a difference in culture. And I've been doing that through various vehicles. This November, I felt compelled to start writing a book, and I really felt that we were going to have a major spiritual incident of some sort. I did not know COVID was going to come. I did not know that George Floyd or Breonna Taylor or any of the others would die. I just knew that what I'd been talking about for many, many years, it was time to deal with it. And I began to see one factoid, and that was, as of 2020, the majority of 18-year-old kids down to birth are going to be minority. That means Black, Hispanic, or Asian. And 2040, the majority would be among the adults. So I thought, and we answered the question, is there hope for America in terms of its moral trajectory? Is there a biblical common ground that minorities and white evangelicals can come together around? And can we see God's dream, King's dream, and the dream of the pilgrims all come together in one resounding chorus?
Do you feel that at the current time that kind of line of reasoning has found itself so much attached to politics that we end up either looking at political mechanisms to change things, or we become swept up in I suppose I could say a mob mentality to feel that someone who doesn't agree with our own position is therefore wrong and we have to beat on them?
I think you articulated it. It's almost as though an anarchistic spirit, if you will, has fallen from heaven. You know the old joke that a third of the angels fell from heaven. We read that in the Bible, and some preachers quip that they fell into the choir stand, and that's why we have so many problems in church around music. But I do believe that there is this anarchy, this fallen dimension, and I believe the American Christian community has exchanged real spiritual power for political power.
I've been wondering about that because I know people within my circle of acquaintances and or friends who hold positions on various issues of the day before us now with such a different dimension or attitude that if I look at their postings on Facebook, or if they look at my postings on Facebook, probably each of us looks at the other one a little bit more than a little askance and say, how can they see things that way? Can't they see blah blah blah? And instead of being constructive and looking to the Holy Spirit for direction on how to work on things and resolve them where they are resolvable, as ordained from on high, we get hung up in the humanity. And anyone who's a believer, as you and I are, knows that we are fallen people and that we are going to make mistakes. It's not a matter of if, but when.
Yeah, that's so true. And we've given everyone a voice, and everybody feels like they are part of branding a new reality TV show. And so what a manifesto attempts to do is to give minorities a way of talking about things and getting an equal, kind of even playing field. But also, I don't know if you heard the Terry Crews controversy.
Yes, I have.
That has said that he got on Don Lemon's show, and he said that if blacks are the only ones who are going to determine what equity is and not negotiate with whites and others, then we're going to have a Black Lives Matter black supremacy group. And he got taken to the cleaners by everybody in black entertainment. But the truth is that we've got to come together around scriptural, moral, biblical concepts that lift up the dignity of humankind. So we can go into that later if we have time. I have an acrostic that spells out what this manifesto should be, but we're going to have to learn to love each other, tolerate each other, and then set specific goals on how we advance what God's agenda is in our nation.
Have we spent too much time worrying about the stuff in the present that we all seem to fixate on as people, and not enough time as Christians toward sharing the good news of Jesus Christ and spreading that word as widely as we can?
You hit the nail on the head. I think that's what we've done. And I think in the process of seeking temporal rewards, we exchange spiritual power for practical power. And in that exchange, we lose touch with the vision that there is an eternity to achieve and a hell to shun, and we're living compact in the natural. So I'm a widower. I'm about to get remarried after 2.5 years of being single and bereft of my first wife, and I'm starting to see how far adrift I have come from the call to holiness and eternity, even though I would have considered myself a great Christian in times past. Eternity is our goal, and leaving a legacy that reflects the glory of God should be our earthly ambition.
I suspect we are all drifted much further away from where we think we are as good Christians. As you put it a moment ago, there's that saying that people use sometimes, that if you think you have humility, or if you think you're a humble person, at the moment you think that, you've already lost it. Dr. Harry Jackson will pick up on my question there on tomorrow's WIHS Journal. For further information, call us at 860-346-1049. That's 860-346-1049. Bishop Harry Jackson will be back tomorrow. The opinions expressed are those of the participants, not necessarily those of the staff or management of this station. I'm Paul Kretschmer on the WIHS Journal, Public Affairs from 104.9 WIHS.